Hey everybody, welcome back to Gideon Stuff. Whew, it has been a while since I have filmed a video. I've been really banking off of pre-recorded content for a while. Been super busy. Got a lot of cool stuff going on, and maybe I'll share some of that here on the channel as time goes by. But I've just got back in from doing some field work. It is about 4 o'clock in the evening on a Saturday. And you know what? I need to film a video for next week's Saturday video. So today's the 17th, and I need a video to go up in a week. So this is a video I've been working on for a little while, and I think now I'm finally ready to film it. What we're talking about today is a hypothetical situation. Things have gotten to a point where I need to sell... Whoa, camera, stop. What's going on with you? Things have gotten to a point where I need to sell all of my knives, basically. I have to sell pretty much my entire collection, and I'm only going to keep the knives that I really need to help me through my day-to-day. This is a topic that's been covered a couple of times by other people on and off in the past. It's something that I think is very interesting. So I spent a lot of time thinking about it. And the interesting thing about this topic isn't necessarily the knives I ended up choosing, but the categories of knives that I decided to have. So we have 4 or 5 categories. We'll get to number 5 in a little bit. But basically, I thought about everything I do day to day with my EDC. I thought about, the possible situations that I could find myself in, and what would be a good tool to keep around for that scenario. And it took a while. But let's go ahead and get into this. Let's start with the easy category, fixed blade. Everyone needs a fixed blade. I think it's absolutely essential to keep a fixed blade around, whether you keep it in your truck, keep it in your camping gear. Having a good outdoor fixed blade is just a necessity. And, you guys aren't surprised. The fixed blade that I would keep, Cold Steel SRK. Love this knife. Probably get a new one. But fantastic, do-it-all fixed blade. Very sturdy, very robust, very comfortable in hand, capable, easy to touch up in the field. Just pretty much the perfect fixed blade. If you haven't seen any of my videos on this knife, check them out. I love this thing a bunch. Just a no nonsense knife. It's a tool. It's meant to be used, and it takes a beating pretty nicely. So that is a fixed blade I would keep. It meets all the criteria that I would want for a fixed blade. Absolutely love this knife. That is a fixed blade I would keep without question. Alright, so before I move on to the next category, one of the categories I was going to add to this is a knife that I keep for sentimental reasons. But I pretty quickly scratched that because I realized that there are a lot of knives that I have sentimental attachments to, and it'd be really hard to get rid of all of them. And so for the purpose of this video, we're ignoring sentimental value. We're ignoring, I got this knife from my dad. We're ignoring all that stuff, and we're just cutting down to the bare bones. All right, so our next category is our hard use folder, Cold Steel 8015 all the way. This was not really a competition either. There are a lot of hard use folders I really love, but this is one that I just adore. Pretty much every knife on the list for hard use fixed blade was a Cold Steel. But yeah, this knife won out because I just love this knife. I think it's very intuitive, very easy to use, super strong, durable, very capable. I love the S35VN. This is a knife that, it's a tank. I have no doubt that I could live the rest of my life with this knife and it would outlive me. So, absolutely the Cold Steel 8015, great knife. I do not rant and rave about this knife on the channel as much as I should anymore. In the early days of the channel, man, this is all I talked about, and man, I just love this knife. I do carry it a lot still, but that's one of the bad things about trying to be a knife reviewer. You handle so much stuff that sometimes your favorites just kind of slide under the radar, and it's a shame, but it's the price we pay. Okay, next up. Next category is generalist EDC. So an EDC knife that, it's just an EDC knife. It's not hard use or anything. It's just a good, solid tool. And for me, this came down to two knives. And both of them are ironically from the same brand. But it was the CJRB Scoria and the CJRB Pyrite. And I love both of these knives so much. These are both absolutely excellent knives. They're both an AR RPM 9, which is a steel I really love. And for, EDC, I think that's a steel I could absolutely live with. They're also both geology themed, so, they've got that going for them. And this was tough. This was really, really tough because, yeah, I do like both these knives a lot. But I decided to go with Pyrite. I don't really know why. It just, maybe it's because it's a little bit smaller, even though I do like big knives, but this knife to me this is probably the knife I'd keep around as a one and done EDC. Get all this stuff off the blade. Very, very cool knife. Very useful, very simple, but in a good way. Geology themed, again, that's a big plus for me. But very slim, very easy to carry, and yeah, the Feldspar did not make it onto this list, surprisingly. But I was just handling the Feldspar, I was handling the Scoria and the Pyrite, and the Feldspar I decided pretty early would probably not make the list, and that says a lot about how good CJRB is getting, how much they're improving, because the Feldspar, man, geez, that was my ride or die for a long, long time. But yeah, I chose the Pyrite. I think it's a good choice too. It's a very solid little knife, and they're not very expensive. So if something happened to this one, I could buy another one, and it wouldn't be a big hit to the wallet. The button lock, I did worry. I'm not the biggest fan of button locks. They're not, super durable, in my opinion. They're not very strong. But for a just generalist EDC knife, I think it'll be fine. So, yeah, CJRB Pyrite won that category. Another category I was going to do, but ended up abandoning, was a fancy carry, or a fancy knife. Gents carry, for lack of a better term. Something that you would carry to a wedding or church or something like that. And I actually got rid of that category because I deemed it to be not essential. This is a pretty good looking knife. This could absolutely be a gents carry or something like that. But more than that, I just felt like that category wasn't needed. It's not something that's essential. It's not, in my opinion, something that, weddings don't happen every day, right? You're not always going to be doing that. So that's why I leave that category out. Okay, moving on to category number 4. Excuse me. This was a category that actually gave me a lot of trouble. Took a lot of thinking, but this is my travel knife. So a knife to, have with me when I'm traveling, when I'm being, going away from home. And my gut instinct at first was the Civivi Baby Banter. I love this knife. This is probably one of my favorite Civivis, if not my favorite. It's an absolutely fantastic little design. Great fifth pocket carry, very inoffensive, very friendly looking knife, but man, it packs a lot of utility into this small package. However, I decided to not go with this because, pretty much everywhere in the United States, I'm not a lawyer, don't listen to me, but I would say 99.99% of the United States, this would be legal. We've got a blade that's 2.5 inches, so we're well under 3 inches. It's a manual. I think it'd be really good, but this would not be so good if I was going out of the country. Certain places this would not be good. And so I decided that's a good point. Maybe I want something that's a little more universal, or not universal, but international. Maybe universal, I guess if I ever want to take a trip to Mars. Not sure what knife laws the Martians have, or Elon Musk, but anyways, I decided that I wanted to go with a non-locking knife. This turned out to be a problem because I'm looking through my non-locking knives, and some of the knives that were front runners were my Rough Rider Reserve Swell Center Whittler. I love this knife. This is a fantastic slip joint because we have this area here I can choke up and get into that. Very comfortable, very safe. Got 3 blades. So that was an option. Another option was like my traditional case knives. This is my Case Trapper that I got when I graduated high school. And this Case Stockman that my dad gave me. You guys have heard the story about this thing. And of course, remember, we're taking the sentimental stuff out of there. So those were kind of the ones that I was really gonna go with. It was between these ones. But I don't know, I got to thinking, I was like, do I really need multiple blades on a travel knife? And this is a big knife right here. Is that what I want? With the cases, I started thinking, I love case knives. Yeah, I really, really do. But, their steel leaves a little bit to be desired, for me at least. Of course, they make up for that with the 2 blades. That wasn't a huge consideration for me. But another thing I thought about was, what if, I lose this? What if it gets taken away from me at the airport? What if, just something happens while I'm traveling and I lose my knives? I want something that will be fairly easy to replace. And so the biggest factors was I wasn't sure I liked the multiple blade ideas. You've got 3 blades on here, 2 blades on here, and 3 blades on here. Yeah, it triples or doubles your edge retention, gives you different blades for different tasks. But I just decided that wasn't really what I needed. This Swell Center Whittler, for example, they don't make these anymore. They make the pattern, but they don't make it in this green burlap micarta anymore. So, it's kind of a limited edition. Don't really want to lose that. These are special knives, so I wouldn't want to lose them either. But, case knives are not the cheapest thing in the world, right? They're not super expensive either, but they're not super cheap. And, you want something that's readily available. So I decided that I want to go with a multi-tool of some kind. And it came down to this rake. What is this? The M61G. And my good old Victorinox that I've had forever. And, I think between these, this one would be the easiest to replace. Let's focus in there. Even if I had to get one that doesn't have the ALOX scales. And this guy was just a little bit too thick. There are other versions of this knife that I could go with. But, this is what I have, right? The other thing, too, though, with this one was it's got a lot of of tools that I really like. The glass breaker. We've got a blade that's 12C27 steel, which is a little bit of an upgrade over this. We've got a saw. We've got a file. We've got scissors. I love scissors. We also do I mean, have these pliers, but they're not the greatest pliers. There's a lot of good here. However, I decided that for my travel knife, I'd go with this. Easy to replace, legal most places, compact. It's a pretty small package. I think it would travel pretty easily with me. So that's what I would go with. Okay, so there's our 4 big categories out of the way. I did have a 5th category, but, well, we'll get into it. My 5th category is multi-tool. We already talked about this guy. I really do like this tool set. I do kind of wish I'd gotten a version that didn't have the pliers because I really do hate these pliers, but this is a cool setup here. However, the multi-tool I'd probably go with, I'll be honest with you guys, I don't have a whole lot of experience with multi-tools. I haven't tested out a whole lot, but if I was going to keep a multi-tool, I'd probably keep this. This is my good old classic Leatherman that I've had since the day I was born. It seems like, it's just tried and true. I have beaten it to crap, and it's just, it's still here. It's still kicking. I really like it. One of these days I'll probably get an updated Leatherman, but, for now this guy has been a real champ. I really, really like it. So that's a multi-tool I'd go with. Again, I'm not really digging from the deepest pool here, or pulling from the deepest well. I'm not sure what euphemism I'm trying to use, but I want to hear from you guys. What are some great multi-tools? Because I do want to review a couple more multi-tools here on the channel, but I've been trying to pick one that I think is most suited to my needs. All right, so let's go ahead and bring these knives back out here. These are the 5 knives that I would keep if... where'd I put the others? I'm losing my mind here. There we go. These are the 5 knives that I would keep if I had to get rid of my entire collection. Which, to be honest with you guys, sometimes I don't feel like it's that far away. Sometimes I feel like, gotta sell all this. Nah, I'm just kidding. But yeah, those are what I would keep. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. What do you think of my choices? What would your choices be? Same 5 categories maybe for, the multi-tool thing's a little bit iffy, but I definitely want to hear from you guys. If you had to get rid of everything and could only keep the essentials, what would they be? All right. Thank you so much for watching. All right. I say as if we're like concluding a meeting. All right. That's it, guys. You can go home to your families now. Anyways, that's all for me. I'm going to go ahead and shut my mouth, go take a nap, maybe watch a movie, do something to relax this evening. I hope you all have an amazing day. I've been Gideon. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Adios.